Episode 2: The Capture of the Beast. In the shadowed foothills of a rugged land, where ancient forests whispered secrets and twilight danced with danger, Cleo and Electra had lived as ghosts. For years they had eluded the relentless Roman Empire, carving out a life of defiance in the wild. Cleo, hardened by loss and burdened with duty, had taught her daughter every secret of survival. Electra, though only 12, had inherited her father Leon's indomitable spirit, learning to blend into the night and strike like lightning when needed. One cool evening, when the sky was smeared with the deep hues of dusk, Electra returned from scouting near the river. The forest was unusually still, as if it too sensed the coming storm. By the dying light, she found her mother by a small, dying fire, meticulously sharpening a well-worn dagger. "You're late, Electra," Cleo said, her tone equal parts reproach and concern. Electra grinned, her eyes bright with mischief despite the tension. "I had to take a longer path. Roman patrols were near the river. I managed to slip past them." Before Cleo could nod in approval, a low, rhythmic pounding echoed through the trees. The sound of marching boots, heavy and determined, shattered the fragile calm. "Run, child! Now!" Cleo shouted, snatching Electra's arm and pulling her into the dense undergrowth. "But, Mother, I can fight them!" Electra protested, gripping the dagger with trembling hands. "No, Electra! There is no honor in a futile battle here," Cleo replied urgently. Yet even as they prepared to flee, the night erupted into chaos. Horns blared, and torches burst forth like angry fireflies as Roman soldiers stormed the forest. In the ensuing melee, Cleo's blade flashed in the moonlight as she parried and slashed at the invaders. "Keep moving, Electra!" she cried, her voice cutting through the clash of steel. But fate, as always, was unyielding. A net was hurled, ensnaring Cleo's arms, and with a pained cry, she was dragged away. "Mother!" Electra screamed, lunging forward, her dagger darting through the shadows. A rough hand caught her wrist, and another seized her legs. Despite her fierce struggle, she was overpowered. The last thing she heard was Cleo's anguished shout echoing, "Never stop fighting!" When Electra next opened her eyes, she was no longer amidst the sheltering trees. Cold iron shackles bit at her wrists as she was forced through vast, echoing corridors. The scent of oil, incense, and despair filled the air. She was in the heart of the enemy, a Roman palace bedecked with marble and gold, a world away from her hidden refuge. Dragged into a grand hall filled with haughty nobles, Electra's defiant eyes met those of men who sneered at her fate. Seated on an ornate throne, the king himself regarded her with icy amusement. His voice, dripping with contempt, filled the chamber. "Is this the famed heir of Leon?" he mocked. "I expected a lion cub, not this quivering child." A noble nearby laughed, and another jeered, "A mere runt to be pit against our finest beasts." Electra's heart pounded, but her voice rang clear as she spat, "My father made you tremble. I carry that fire within me." For a long moment, silence reigned. The king's eyes flickered, and a smile twisted his lips. "If you are so bold, let us test that courage." He rose, and with a gesture that silenced the hall, he commanded, "Guards, take her to the gladiatorial pits." The murmurs of the courtiers grew into a cacophony of disbelief. "A child, unarmed, in the arena?" One noble whispered. Under the relentless glare of the sun, the Colosseum beckoned. The arena, a vast expanse of scorching sand and the echoes of countless past battles, awaited its next spectacle. Electra, stripped of all comfort and hope, was thrust into a realm where survival was measured in moments and blood. As she stepped onto the arena floor, the deafening roar of thousands filled her ears. The crowd's anticipation was palpable, a frenzy of voices yearning for a spectacle of cruelty. Amidst this chaos, the massive gates slowly creaked open. From the darkness emerged a lion, its tawny mane wild and unkempt, its eyes alight with lethal hunger. This was not a mere animal, but a beast bred for death. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, the arena held its breath. Electra squared her shoulders, clutching her dagger as if it were the last remnant of her hope. The lion's low growl vibrated through the air, and in that moment, time seemed to slow. "Stand your ground, Electra," she whispered to herself, recalling Cleo's lessons. "Remember who you are." Then, with the sudden fury of a predator, the lion lunged. Electra darted aside, rolling on the hot sand as the lion's claws whipped through the air where her head had been mere seconds before. The crowd gasped. Dust swirled around the two combatants as the lion circled warily, its amber eyes studying this small, defiant foe. "Come on then," Electra challenged, her voice trembling with adrenaline. "Show me what you've got." The beast roared and charged again. This time, Electra made a choice that stunned even herself. Instead of retreating, she bolted forward, closing the gap between them. With a cry that rang out above the roar of the crowd, she leaped and clutched at the lion's magnificent mane. The lion's eyes widened in surprise as it bucked violently, trying to shake off its unexpected attacker. Sand erupted in a cloud around them, and the audience fell into an odd silence. Clinging to the lion's thick mane, Electra gritted her teeth and shouted, "I am not your prey." The struggle intensified. The lion's powerful muscles tensed and convulsed as it fought to free itself, but Electra's grip was resolute. Every twist and jolt sent a surge of pain through her, yet she refused to yield. In that moment, the arena was transformed from a stage of inevitable death into a crucible of defiance. A grizzled Roman soldier in the front row roared, "Look at her! She dares to challenge the beast." His voice mingled with the rising cheers and gasps of the crowd. From his lofty perch, the king observed with a mixture of amusement and growing unease. "So this is Leon's daughter," he murmured to a nearby noble. "Perhaps her defiance is the spark of a rebellion. Or perhaps she is doomed to fail." Back in the heart of the arena, the battle raged on. Electra's small body strained against the colossal strength of the lion. "You will not break me," she cried, her voice raw with determination and pain. The lion's roars echoed in response, its once proud charge beginning to falter under her relentless assault. With each passing moment, the struggle became a battle of wills. The crowd, initially thirsty for bloodshed, now watched in rapt astonishment as a legend was forged in the crucible of adversity. The lion, symbol of the Empire's raw might, now wavered before the unyielding spirit of a defiant child. When at last the lion's strength ebbed and its movements grew sluggish, Electra pressed forward. Summoning every shred of courage, she tightened her grip and stared deep into the beast's uncertain eyes. The roar that followed was less an expression of fury and more a surrender to the inevitable truth that even the mightiest can be humbled by the unquenchable fire of the human spirit. As the beast finally collapsed, the arena exploded with a tumult of cheers, disbelief, and newfound respect. Electra stood panting amid the swirling dust, her body battered but her spirit unbroken. For a moment, the world seemed to pause as all eyes fixated on the child who had defied destiny. In the aftermath, As the roar of the crowd slowly subsided into murmurs of awe, the king's voice echoed once more through the Colosseum. "Today, you have shown us that the blood of Leon runs deep. But tell me, little warrior, is your courage enough to ignite the flames of rebellion against an empire built on tyranny?" Electra's eyes shone with fierce determination as she answered, "I fight not just for myself, but for every soul oppressed by your cruelty." And so, amidst the sand and the echoes of an empire's might, a legend was born, a spark that promised to kindle a rebellion in the hearts of the downtrodden. In that charged silence, one question hung in the air, daring to challenge the future. Will Electra's defiant stand be the ember that sets an empire ablaze, or will the dark forces of tyranny extinguish hope before it can flourish? Watch out for these answers in the next episode. Thank you for watching.